Yeah, good day, and thank you for joining us today. Today, again, we have with us an art film expert and an officer of the Vedic Sansthan. So, how do you see the connection between stress-free living and ethical governance? Nevertheless, stress and ethics are deeply connected. When the mind is agitated, clarity fades, and decision making becomes impulsive. In public administration, this can compromise integrity and transparency. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji often says, a calm mind is the seat of right action. Through Sudarshan Kriya and meditation, officials experience emotional balance, reduce anxiety, and sharpen perception. From the centered space, ethical choices arise naturally, not as forced obligation. Karnataka, as a home of the Art of Living International Center in Bengaluru, holds a sacred opportunity to model governance grounded in inner peace. A leader free from stress radiates fairness, compassion, and efficiency. Qualities our democracy deeply needs. Now, why is Karnataka uniquely placed to lead India in stress-free governance? Now, the Karnataka is not only a technological powerhouse but also a spiritual hub. With the Art of Living International Center in Bengaluru, the Vedic Sansthan, and centuries of temple cultures, it has the blend of modern administration and ancient wisdom. When IAS, IPS, and KAS officers integrate meditation, Vedic practices, and seva into their routines, they embody balanced leadership. Programs like the Government Executive Program, designed by Art of Living and His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shankarji, train officials in time management, empathy, and resilience, combined with rituals like Agni Karyam, Gayatri Jap, and Trikal Sandhya. These practices sanctify the mind. Karnataka can become a global example of how dharmic leadership builds not just infrastructure but inner strength in governance. Now, how does the Sudarshan Kriya specifically help senior officials? Yeah, the Sudarshan Kriya works on the rhythmic cycles of breath, which directly influence emotions. In government offices, pressures are immense, files, deadlines, and public scrutiny. Over time, this accumulates as chronic stress. The Kriya detoxifies both body and mind, releases suppressed emotions, and restores energy. It has been scientifically validated across universities worldwide, including NIMHANS in Bengaluru. Officials who practice it daily report improved sleep, sharper focus, and emotional resilience. Many senior bureaucrats who have done the Art of Living course say that after years of mental fatigue, they feel rejuvenated and make quicker, wiser decisions. In essence, Sudarshan Kriya converts chaos into clarity. Now, what role do Vedic rituals like the Agni Karam and the Trikal Sandhya play in mental well being? Our rishis designed these rituals as tools for energy purification. Agni Karam cleanses subtle impressions and harmonizes the five elements within us. The Trikals on their prayers at dawn, noon, and dusk aligns a biological rhythm and with the cosmic cycles. For government officials, these are not merely religious acts but spiritual technologies. When performed with awareness, they stabilize the mind, improve decision making. Vedic themselves regularly conducts these homas and sandhya sessions for officials at art of living centers and temples. When one connects to the sacred through ritual, one acts with dharma in public life. Rituals and meditation together form a holistic ecosystem for stress-free governance. Now, how can these spiritual practices improve transparency and accountability in government? Now, the transparency begins within. When one's thoughts are clean, actions become naturally transparent. Meditation expands awareness, making it harder to act against conscience. Gurudev teaches that spirituality strengthens ethics. In Karnataka's governance system, officials who practice Kriya or meditation report greater empathy towards citizens, better teamwork, and less office politics. Stress often drives corruption or shortcuts. People react rather than respond. A calm mind cultivated through these practices enables responsibility without rigidity and compassion without compromise. The spirituality indirectly strengthens institutions by purifying the individuals who run them. Now, can Vedic rituals coexist with modern administrative duties? Absolutely, Vedic wisdom is not in conflict with modernity, it complements it. The Gayatri Mantra, for instance, is a prayer for right intellect, Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. When recited regularly, it refines the mind's discrimination. Similarly, the Agni Karam invokes the element of fire, symbolizing clarity and illumination. These rituals can be performed even in brief morning or evening sessions. At Vedic Dhammasana, we train officials on how to integrate these in short, meaningful ways. 5 minutes of chanting or lighting a lamp before starting the day. It creates an environment of sanctity even in administrative spaces, reminding leaders that governance is sacred service or Rajadharma. Now, what's the role of seva or selfless service in reducing stress for government leaders? There, the seva transforms a doer into an instrument of higher purpose. When a minister or officer serves citizens selflessly, stress diminishes because ego subsides. Gurudev says the best way to be happy is to see others happy. Through Art of Living's community programs like river rejuvenation, school adoption, and rural development, officials can engage with society beyond paperwork. Such engagement recharges emotional batteries and renews the compassion. It reminds them that why they joined the service in the first place, to serve the people. A heart in seva is never burdened, it is blessed. Now, how do the Padma Sadhana and the Shakti Kriya contribute to leadership excellence? Yeah, the Padma Sadhana balances dynamism with calmness through asanas and meditation, while the Shakti Kriya awakens the inner power for high level officers. These techniques cultivate focus, intuition, and stamina. Decision making at senior levels demands both intellect and inner strength. The Shakti Kriya restores vitality, while the Padma Sadhana dissolves fatigue. Gurudev often gives these practices to senior leaders and global executives who need deep rest amidst action. When practiced regularly, one begins to act effortlessly. Leadership becomes spontaneous and stress free. These kriyas define leadership from being reactive to being intuitive. Now, how can Karnataka's administration formally integrate these programs? Karnataka can pioneer a wellness and governance policy through collaboration with Art of Living's government executive program. The IAS and the IPS training academies can introduce modules on stress management, emotional intelligence, and ethics in public life. Regular retreats at the Art of Living International Center can be arranged for senior officials and staff. Departments like health, education, and rural development can integrate yoga and meditation in their work culture. The result will not only be reduced absenteeism and better health, but also improved governance and efficiency. The state can demonstrate that spiritual strength is administrative strength. Now, what's the contribution of Vedic Dharma Sansthan in such a model of governance? Now, the Vedic Dharma Sansthan preserves the sanctity of our ancient rituals and aligns them with modern social welfare. For instance, regular Gayatri Yagyas and Vishnu Sahasranama chantings are organized for world peace and administrative clarity. The Sansthan also trains Purohits and Vedic scholars to perform the pujas for harmony in institutions. When government buildings or projects are inaugurated with these rituals, it invokes the divine blessings for collective welfare. For officials, participating in such homas and pujas brings grounding and humility. Governance, when guided by Vedic light, becomes not a position of power but a platform of purity. Now, how can meditation and recalls and their improve time management and decision making? Every time management is not just about scheduling tasks, it's about managing the mind. Meditation aligns one's energy and focus so that decisions are made efficiently. To recalls on the other tries daily moment of silence and prayer resets the brain's rhythm. After each phase, the morning, noon, and evening, officials can pause, breathe deeply, and reconnect to purpose. It's like rebooting the system. Many officers who do this say they handle complex files faster, attend meetings with calmness, and return home without carrying mental fatigue. Gurudev often says meditation is not running away from work. It gives you the power to work better. When time is managed through awareness, stress dissolves naturally. Now, how can the government departments encourage officials to take up these programs seriously? There, the institutional culture begins at the top. If senior secretaries, commissioners, or ministers lead by example, attending meditation sessions or hosting art of living workshops, the culture of calmness spreads downward. Departments can include short daily yoga and pranayama sessions, just like physical drills or team briefings. The Vedic Sansan can support by conducting the Gayatri Japa, the short Sankalpa Homas at the start of major policy projects. When divine energy blesses the workspaces, motivation rises. When employees see results, better focus, improved relationships, fewer conflicts, they naturally adopt these practices. Governance with spiritual depth becomes not a compulsion but a culture. How does stress affect the moral compass of a government official? There, the stress clouds discrimination or viveka. Under stress, one's vision narrows, short term gain appears attractive while long term ethics wait. This is how corruption or moral compromise often begins, not from evil intent but from exhaustion and confusion. Through practices like Sudarshan Kriya, once the prana or the life energy stabilizes and awareness sharpness, a stress free mind can distinguish right from wrong effortlessly. Gurudev says, when you are centered, ethics is automatic, and stress management is not just about health, it's about integrity. For officials entrusted with public welfare, managing their inner state is a part of their Rajdharma or duty of governance. How can rituals like Upanayana and Gayatri Japa restore discipline and focus in administration? The Upanayana is symbolic initiation into knowledge and responsibility. duty. When performed with sincerity, it reminds an individual that life is sacred and every act must be guided by awareness. The Gayatri Japa is a continuous refinement of intellect, invoking the light of truth or the Savita Devata within the mind. If officials recite or listen to Gayatri daily, mental clarity and discipline blossom. In our Vedic Sun camps, officers who took part in the Gayatri recitation reported renewed concentration and better sleep. These rituals are not mere tradition, they are psychological training tools encoded in sacred form. They restore the discipline that bureaucracy often loses under stress. Now, Karnataka hosts the Art of Living International Center. How can the state collaborate with it more deeply? The International Center is a global hub for peace and leadership transformation. Karnataka can collaborate by organizing annual retreats for government executives, bringing together IAS, IPS, and IFS and administrative staff for advanced meditation and wisdom sessions. Joint programs between the center and the Administrative Training Institute, the ATI in Mysuru, can formalize this initiative. Topics like ethics and governance, decision making under pressure, and stress free productivity can be covered. Gurudev has always said that spirituality must reach those who serve the nation. When governance and meditation merge, Karnataka will not only develop economically but spiritually lead India's administrative renaissance. Now, how can the ancient Vedic concepts like dharma and yajna guide modern governance? Now, the dharma means that which sustains, and yajna means selfless action for a collective good. Modern governance often loses touch with these roots, becoming mechanical. But when an officer sees their duty as a yajna, a sacred offering, then honesty, transparency, and compassion naturally manifest. Dharma ensures balance between development and environment, progress and people. The Vedic Dhammasan teaches that every policy can be a yajna when done with purity of intent. Karnataka, with its strong temple traditions and progressive outlook, can integrate this vision, combining dharma based values and efficient administration to create prosperity with peace. Now, what impact can these spiritual programs have on family life and relationships for officials? Many officers tell us that while they manage thousands of people at work, they struggle to maintain peace at home. Meditation restores the emotional harmony. When one breathes mindfully and practices gratitude, communication improves. Gurudev often says, when you are happy at home, your work becomes service. When you are stressed, your service becomes work. After attending the art of living programs, many couples experience renewed bonding and patience. A balanced family environment makes officials more compassionate and productive. Spiritual practices thus not only enhance governance but heal the home, the first unit of society. Now, how can officials handle criticism and public pressure more gracefully? A public servant is constantly in the spotlight, the media, social expectations, and political opposition. Without emotional stability, criticism can wound or harden the mind. Practices like Shakti Kriya, Satsang, and Seva make one internally strong yet soft hearted. Vedic rituals teach surrender, the offering the fruit of action to the divine. When one remembers that they are an instrument of dharma, not the sole doer, criticism loses its sting. Gurudev's wisdom, accept people and situations as they are, becomes a living truth. From that acceptance springs immense courage and grace in governance. Now, how do the pujas and the homas of the Vedic terms and sun contribute to collective harmony? Every homa purifies not only the environment but the collective consciousness. When groups of officials participate in Vishnu Sahasranama, the Rudra Abhishekams, or Navgraha Homa, it brings subtle harmony to decision-making environments. The vibration of mantras cleanses mental negativity and promotes unity. We have observed that departments where group prayers are organized function with better coordination and reduce conflict. The energy of devotion creates a field of trust. These sacred rituals can be included as part of Karnataka's administrative calendar, reminding everyone that governance is a sacred seva, not mere duty. Now, how can the reading His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar Jesus' books help officials gain clarity? The Gurudev's books like Celebrating Silence, Managing Management Pantras, and Wisdom for the New Millennium offer timeless guidance for leadership and life. Each page has insights applicable to bureaucracy, crisis management, and personal peace. For instance, Gurudev says, when the mind is free from agitation, the right thought comes. This one line can transform how an officer handles emergencies or policy dilemmas. His talks blend spirituality with practicality, teaching that true leadership is rooted in compassion, not control. If these texts are included in civil service reading lists, officials can gain not just administrative acumen but inner stability. Wisdom nourishes ethics. Now, how can spirituality help in reducing political conflicts and promoting cooperation between departments? When the ego reduces, collaboration blossoms. Political and departmental conflicts often arise from insecurity and the desire for recognition. Through meditation and Sudarshan Kriya, officials learn to observe their emotions without reacting. This inner maturity enables dialogue and teamwork. Gurudev teaches when the mind expands, conflicts to solve. At the Art of Living International Center, we have seen ministers from rival parties sit together in silence during meditation and walk out as friends. When inner peace becomes the foundation, outer harmony naturally follows. Karnataka can become a model living model of cooperative governance grounded in consciousness. Now, how can the Vedic Sansthan contribute to peace between political parties and leaders? The Sansthan conducts the Samaveda, chanting the Vishnu Sahasranama Homa specifically for collective harmony. These mantras invoke balance, removing aggression and ego. We have seen remarkable transformation when leaders from different ideologies participate together in Homas. Fire united clarifies the differences. Our ancient kings began political meetings only after Agni because the fire witnessed every decision. Bringing this tradition back through joint rituals can reawaken the sacred unity among leaders. Dharma transcends party lines when all remember that their true role is the Loka Kalyana, welfare of the people. Peace becomes inevitable. Now, can these spiritual programs help in improving public trust toward government? The public trust is the heartbeat of democracy. When citizens see calm, compassionate, and grounded leaders, they feel protected. The Art of Living programs develop emotional intelligence, kindness, and presence in officials. When officers listen mindfully, respond with patience, and act transparently, people's faith naturally returns. Gurudev says, the sign of leadership is to bring comfort to those who depend on you. Through meditation and self-service or seva, officials become instruments of coming together rather than comfort and rather than authority. Karnataka's governance can inspire the entire nation if the leadership radiates the inner peace and outer fairness. How can practices like Bhojanam Vidhi and mindful eating affect the mental health of officials? The Bhojanam Vidhi, the mindful eating with gratitude, is an integral part of the Vedic lifestyle. It teaches respect for food and awareness during consumption. When eaten consciously, the food becomes the prasad, the divine offering, not just fuel. Many officers eat in haste between meetings, accumulating digestive and mental stress. By following Bhojanam Vidhi, eating in silence, offering thanks, and avoiding gadgets during meals, one digests not only food but emotions. The Vedic Samsan promotes such awareness in its retreats. A calm gut leads to a calm mind. As Ayurveda says, when digestion is right, thinking is right, conscious eating is a conscious governance. How do you see the role of youth IAS and KAS trainees in adopting these practices early? The young officers represent the new energy of governance. If they learn Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, and Seva at the beginning of their careers, they will never burn out. In our youth leadership programs, we emphasize that enthusiasm and ethics must go together. Gurudev encourages youth to combine passion with patience. If the administrative training institutes in Karnataka include these spiritual tools, officers will grow as visionary, balanced leaders. Rather than reacting to problems, they will respond with creativity. Youthful energy guided by inner silence can transform bureaucracy into a force of compassion. Now, what is the Vedic Dharmic's view on stress and its cure? The Vedas define stress as the prana vikshepa, the disturbance of life force. Its cure is prana sthiti, the balance of life energy. Rituals like Agni Karyams, or chants like Rudrams, and acts of charity are designed to restore this equilibrium. Fire ceremonies burn inner impurities, mantras harmonize vibrations, and service expands awareness beyond self. Stress arises when we forget our divine nature. Peace returns when we remember it. The Vedic Dhamma teaches that stress is not a disease but disconnection. Reconnection through sadhana, the practices in the seva or the selfless service, is the cure. This aligns beautifully with the art of living, stress breathing, and meditation techniques. Now, how can the spiritual awareness help Karnataka achieve sustainable development goals at the SDGs? Now, the sustainability begins with sensitivity. When one feels connected to nature, one naturally preserves it. Meditation enhances that sense of belonging. Gurudev's river rejuvenation projects in Karnataka, like the rejuvenation of Kumudavati and Vedavati rivers, were led by officials and volunteers practicing yoga and kriya. They work not from compulsion but devotion. When bureaucracy operates from compassion, environmental and social goals align effortlessly. Karnataka can integrate spiritual training into departments like environment, water, and energy. When policy meets consciousness, sustainability ceases to be a project, it becomes a lifestyle. Now, how do the rituals like Agni Karyam and Homas purify not just individuals but the environment? Now, the fire is a purifier of both inner and outer pollution. During a homa, herbs and ghee release subtle medicinal vapors that cleanse the air and raise the positive ions. But beyond chemistry lies energy, the mantra Shakti. Chanting sacred vibrations while offering into fire transforms the atmosphere. Studies show decreased bacterial count, increased oxygen after Vedic homas. When conducted in offices or government complexes, periodically they create a serene environment where tempers cool and cooperation increases. Karnataka's departments could host monthly Agni Karyams not as rituals but as environmental rejuvenation, purifying both air and attitude. Now, how can the art of living and the Vedic themselves and jointly train the Karnataka officials for stress-free leadership? Together, we can create a joint leadership development program combining modern management with spiritual wisdom. Modules can include Sudarshan Kriya, meditation ethics workshops, and Vedic rituals for sanctity. Officers can spend a few days at the Art of Living Center for silence retreats, followed by Vedic sessions at the Sun temples. Gurudev's wisdom sessions can guide them on emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, and ethical leadership. Such a blended training will not only refresh their minds but realign their purpose to serve with peace, not pressure. Karnataka can then showcase this model to the entire nation. Now, what message would you like to give to all Karnataka officials carrying the responsibility of governance? There, remember, governance is a sacred yajna, not a burden. When you perform your duties as an offering to the divine, stress dissolves and inspiration flows. Take time daily for silence, breath, and gratitude. Attend art of living courses, practice Trikal Sandhya, and chant a Gayatri and participate in Humas. Let your work be an extension of prayer. Karnataka, with its ancient spiritual heritage and modern intellect, can become a shining example of Dharma in action. As Gurudev says, a happy mind is a key to a happy world. Stress free official creates a stress free state. Now, how do silence programs and meditation retreats impact leadership clarity? The silence is the mother of creativity. When one withdraws from constant noise and mental chatter, clarity emerges naturally. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Jesus' advanced meditation programs at the Art of Living International Center have transformed thousands of senior leaders worldwide. During these retreats, officials disconnect from external communication and dive into deep rest through guided meditations in silence. The result is astonishing. Stress disappears, intuition sharpens, and decision making becomes effortless. Leaders begin to perceive situations holistically rather than react to them. In governance, silence is not inaction, it's a space from which wise actions arises. Karnataka's administrators can use these programs as mental detox camps for renewed clarity and purpose. How can the principles of Karma Yoga be applied to public administration? Now, the Karma Yoga means performing action without attachment to its fruit. For a government officer, this is the highest discipline. It means working sincerely without craving recognition or fearing criticism. When one sees service as offering to the divine, fatigue vanishes. The Vedic themselves and teaches this. Through Yajna philosophy, each act done for Loka Kalyanam, the public good, becomes sacred. Gurudev also reminds us, do your best and leave the rest. When officials adopt this attitude, anxiety drops, efficiency arises, and the moral foundation strengthens. Karma Yoga transforms duty into devotion, bureaucracy into bhakti. Now, how can art of living in Vedic themselves and collaborate to train newly appointed IAS and IPS officers? A structured induction program can be created in three phases: self mastery, ethical leadership, and dharmic governance. To the government executive program, the first phase would teach Sudarshan Kriya, Padma Sadhana, and meditation for inner balance. The second would integrate Gurudev's management principles on empathy and integrity. The third, guided by the Vedic Sun, would teach the significance of rituals, a Gayatri, and the Yajna and leadership. Such holistic training would shape officers who are mentally calm, spiritually strong, and ethically unshakable. Karnataka can become the first state to institutionalize spirituality in civil service training. Now, how can chanting mantras like Vishnu Sahasranama and Rudrabhishekam Rudram affect the energy of an office space? The mantras are sound vibrations that reorganize subtle energies. The Vishnu Sahasranama invokes balance and harmony, while the Rudram purifies and strengthens the environment. When these chants are recited in offices, they cleanse accumulated negativity, fostering cooperation and positivity among staff. At the Vedic themselves, and we conduct the collective chanting sessions for officials during auspicious days. The shift is tangible after chanting, communication flows smoothly, misunderstandings vanish, and collective enthusiasm rises. These mantras don't belong to any religion, they are universal energy harmonizers. A few minutes of chanting daily can transform the vibration of any workspace into one of serenity and focus. Now, how can the Gurudev's teachings on the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam influence governance? The Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world as one family, is not just a slogan, it's a vision for governance. Gurudev lives this principle when officials imbibe it. They view citizens not as cases of numbers but as family members. Policies are then shaped with empathy and inclusiveness. For example, in welfare schemes, this vision promotes dignity-based support rather than dependency. It also reduces discrimination and builds unity among diverse communities. Karnataka, with its multicultural spirit, can model this global family consciousness in administration. When love becomes policy, peace becomes progress. How do the art of living practices support women officers balancing work and family? Here, the women officers carry a dual load of professional excellence and family responsibility. Breathing techniques like Sudarshan Kriya and Shakti Kriya help release emotional stress and hormonal imbalance. Meditation enhances patience and energy. At Vedic Dharmasans, and we conduct the Devi Pujas and the Sankalpa Homas to strengthen feminine spiritual power. When women connect to their inner Shakti, they become unstoppable. Gurudev often says, the strength of a woman lies in her silence, not suppression. When empowered inwardly, women officers radiate calm authority and compassionate leadership. Karnataka can champion gender imbalance governance supported by spiritual practices. Now, how can these programs reduce absenteeism and burnout among staff in government departments? The absenteeism is a symptom of mental exhaustion, not laziness. Through regular meditation and breathing practices, energy levels rise, enthusiasm returns, and absenteeism naturally drops. The Art of Living has conducted wellness programs in several government departments across India and recorded significant improvements in attendance and productivity. When stress hormone decrease and serotonin levels rise, employees feel motivated to work. Introducing short pranayama sessions before meetings or silent sittings during breaks can change the energy of the entire office. A happy officer is a healthy system. A relaxed mind is the best HR policy. Now, how does the concept of satsang help in maintaining positive morale in bureaucratic systems? Yeah, the satsang means being in the company of truth and positivity. In satsang, people sing, meditate, and share experiences of gratitude and learning. This creates a field of joy that dissolves heaviness and ego. Bureaucratic systems often suffer from rigidity. The satsang melts that stiffness. The Vedic Dhamsan and Art of Living jointly host satsangs daily in the Vishalakshmi Mandap, where officers and staff participate with families. The atmosphere becomes like one family working for a larger cause. When laughter, devotion, and togetherness enter the workspace, morale naturally rises. The Karnataka can institutionalize monthly satsang gatherings in departments as a spiritual wellness initiative. Now, how can these spiritual practices help officers handle crisis situations calmly? Nevertheless, in moments of crisis, natural disasters, political unrest, or emergencies, panic can cloud judgment. But officers trained in the art of living techniques remain composed. Their breath becomes their anchor. Sudarshan Kriya stabilizes the nervous system, ensuring quick yet calm responses. Many disaster relief volunteers trained by Gurudev have led operations with immense clarity, even under chaos. A calm leader radiates assurance to their team and the public. Meditation gives that power to act swiftly yet serenely. As Gurudev says, even in the storm, be the eye that is still. Karnataka's disaster response units can gain greatly from this inner training. Now, what is the vision for a spiritually awakened Karnataka in the next decade? Our vision is a Karnataka where governance and spirituality walk hand in hand, where ministers meditate, officers chant Gayatri, and citizens live by Dharma, where policies arise from compassion and corruption disappears because conscience awakens. We envision every department beginning its week with a short puja, a few minutes of silence, and collective intention for public welfare. The Vedic Dhammasan and Art of Living together can guide this transformation. Karnataka, blessed with the Gurudev's presence, can become the Vishwa Guru in ethical governance, showing the world that spirituality is not separate from statecraft, it is its soul. Now, how can the Shakti Kriya empower decision making abilities among Karnataka's administrative officers? Jayadav, Shakti Kriya is a deeply transformative process designed by His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi to awaken the dormant prana of Shakti within. Government officials often face decision paralysis, especially when balancing ethics, welfare, and politics. Regular practice of Shakti Kriya refines intuition, reduces indecisiveness, and strengthens mental clarity. It activates the higher consciousness where decisions arise spontaneously and correctly. Officers who have practiced this have reported better focus, improved judgment, and calm assertiveness. Quality is essential for governance. A stress free and energized mind naturally makes ethical and far sighted decisions, which is the foundation of a good governance. Now, in Vedic tradition, decision making is never merely intellectual, it is spiritual. The concept of dharma sankat in scriptures teaches how one must use sattva or purity to guide intellect or buddhi. When officials regularly perform Gayatri Japa and Agni Karams, their inner voice becomes clearer combined with art of living kriyas. This leads to a powerful blend of logic and intuition. Ethical clarity arises not through compulsion but through consciousness. Such integrated practices ensure that governance decisions are made with both wisdom and compassion, reflecting the true spirit of Rajadharma. Now, how does the Padma Sadhana practice relate to balancing power and humility in leadership? Yeah, the Padma Sadhana literally means lotus practice, a sequence of practice and graceful asanas performed with deep awareness and gratitude. In governance, power can inflate ego. Padma Sadhana melts that arrogance. It reminds the practitioner that true strength lies in softness and surrender. The lotus grows in mud yet remains untouched, a beautiful metaphor for an officer who works in complex environments yet stays pure and graceful. Regular practice helps officers remain grounded, improve physical stamina, and experience the inner balance, ensuring that authority is exercised with humility. Now, the lotus has been a symbol of spiritual authority since the Vedas. It represents attachment and detachment and purity amidst action. When officials combine the Padma Sadhana with the morning Trikal Sandhya and the Surya Arghya, they align their personal rhythm with the cosmic order. This naturally brings humility as one realizes governance is divine service or Rajya Seva, not self glorification. Even ancient kings like Chanaka practiced yoga and meditation before core duties. Karnataka's officers can revive this dharmic leadership model, strength rooted in surrender. Now, what is the importance of Trikal Sandhya for maintaining daily discipline and inner rhythm in busy officials? Now, with Trikal Sandhya, the thrice daily alignment with sunrise, noon, and sunset helps reconnect body, mind, and environment. In today's world of irregular schedules, it acts as a spiritual clock. Just 2 minutes of silence, pranayama, and gratitude during these times stabilizes energy levels. It reduces fatigue, resets focus, and harmonizes emotions. For officers working long hours in files and meetings, this ancient yet simple practice can be a mental recharge. Gurdjieff always says the secret of efficiency lies in rhythm. It recalls and there restores that rhythm. Now, the Trikal Sandhya is one of the most powerful Vedic time disciplines. When performed with the Gayatri mantra and offering of water to the sun, it balances the five pranas. For officials, it brings punctuality and divine awareness that every hour is sacred. This awareness spills into their work, punctual meetings, ethical reporting, and efficient administration. Moreover, it builds a sattva guna, which is the energy of clarity and truth. Karnataka, with its spiritual heritage, can easily bring this tradition back to workshops and morning Sandhya gatherings for all departments. Now, how can the Gayatri Japa enhance ethical governance and sharpen intellect? Now, the Gayatri Mantra invokes the brilliance of divine consciousness. Repetition of this mantra increases mental alertness, compassion, and purity. For officers, it purifies the intellect. The tool used for decision making when practiced with the proper breathing and awareness, the Gayatri Japa reduces restlessness and enhances moral sensitivity. It's a meditative armor against corruption and confusion. Gurudev often explains that chanting Gayatri is like polishing the mirror of the mind. When it shines, one sees the truth clearly. Now, in the Vedas, the Gayatri is the mother of all mantras. It governs the inner light of understanding the pragya. When senior government officials regularly chant it, their thought processes become sattvic. It's not about religion, it's about refinement of consciousness. For public service, this refinement is vital. It helps maintain transparency and fairness. The sound vibrations of Gayatri Mantra purify subtle energies, creating a harmonious workplace atmosphere. We have observed that departments where collective chanting happens experience less conflict and more cooperation. Now, how do the Agni Karam and the Homas conducted at the Art of Living International Center influence collective consciousness in governance? Yeah, the fire rituals are energy purifiers. When mantras, herbs, and devotion combine, the air becomes charged with positivity. The Art of Living International Center regularly conducts the Rudra Puja, the Ganapati Homa, and the Vishnu Homa. These uplifts the entire environment. When officials participate, they release stress at a certain level. It's not symbolic. There is actual transformation in the nervous system and energy field. The Agni Karam connects the officials' service to sacredness, reminding them that governance is not management of power, but management of purity. Now, Agni Karam is a cornerstone of Vedic Dharma. The fire is the witness of one's intention or sankalpa. When officers make offerings of ghee, grains, and mantras with pure intention, the energy field of the department is sanctified. In ancient times, the kings performed the Rajasriya and the Ashtamedha yagyas to strengthen the moral fabric of their kingdoms. Today, collective homas and meditation sessions can achieve the same vibrational harmony, Karnataka can become a model state where spirituality empowers administration and where every decision begins with Om Shanti. Now, how can the satsangs and collective meditation sessions contribute to reducing bureaucratic stress and improving team unity? The satsang, being in the company of truth, is more than music and chanting. It's a collective elevation of consciousness when officers and staff join together in bhajans, breathing in silence, emotional walls fall away, laughter returns, ego smells, and communication improves. I have seen senior administrators who began satsangs in their departments report that disputes reduce drastically. In meditation, allows one to work from joy, not pressure. When joy becomes the atmosphere, productivity and ethics naturally rise. Gurudev says, when hearts connected, the work flows effortlessly. Now, the Vedic wisdom always emphasizes sahabhavana, the feeling of togetherness. When collective chanting of Om, Gayatri, and Vishnu Sahasranama happens, it unifies the pranic energy. Satsangs are like invisible bridges among team members. The sound vibrations align everyone to a higher purpose. For government institutions, this can be revolutionary. Meetings can start with a few minutes of silence or a simple chant, creating harmony and clarity before decisions. Such small practices revive the forgotten art of Manasa Shuddhi, purity of mind and teamwork. Now, what role does the Upanyanam play in rekindling a sense of responsibility and sacred duty among officials? Yeah, the Upanyanam is not just a religious rite, it's an initiation to self discipline and commitment to truth. Symbolically, it means bringing the student near to knowledge or Upanayana. If officials perform this as a reminder of lifelong learning and purity of purpose, it becomes a renewal ceremony. Wearing the sacred thread reminds one that every action is witnessed by the divine. In modern context, it's like taking an inner oath to serve selflessly without attachment. Such conscious rituals bring a sense of sacredness to one's role as a public servant. Now, the Gayatri Upanyanam teaches one to see life as a yagya, every act done for the greater good. It's deeply relevant for governance. When officers view policy making and administration as sacred responsibility to nourish society, corruption and negligence disappear. We recommend that government departments occasionally organize the symbolic Upanyanam inspired sessions to remind officers of their dharmic role. The aim is not religious revivalism, but a value revival, turning every workplace into a temple of service or seva mandiram. Now, how can Karnataka's senior officers balance rapid economic development with ecological ethics through spiritual wisdom? Gurudev teaches that true progress is sustainable harmony. Meditation expands awareness. One starts feeling connected to nature. A person who meditates cannot exploit, they conserve naturally. Officers are practicing Sudarshan Kriya develop sensitivity toward the environment. They see policies not just as statistics but as life impacting choices. Consciousness driven administration brings eco ethics without external enforcement. When prana is in balance, our relationship with the planet also becomes balanced. Now, Vedic texts call the earth the Bhumi Devi, the Divine Mother. The Agni Karams, the Soma Yagya, and the Pancha Mahatma Yagyas were not just rituals but ecological pledges. Fire offerings purify the atmosphere, water rituals preserve cleanliness. When administrators reconnect with these practices, they realize that governance must protect all living beings. Karnataka, being rich in rivers and forests, can lead India in eco spiritual governance, where development and dharma walk hand in hand. Many IAS and IPS officers face burnout and sleeplessness. How do artificial breathing techniques help in this? The core problem is overactive mind and irregular breathing. So Darshan Kriya harmonizes the body's natural rhythms. It reduces cortisol and increases serotonin, creating restful alertness. Officers who practice this report deep sleep and renewed energy even after long work hours. Gurudev's research-backed techniques have shown proven results across defense, health, and education sectors. When rest comes from meditation, one's clarity and confidence multiply. One can serve without fatigue. Now, in Vedic understanding, breath is life, the prana eva prana pragya. When prana flows smoothly, thoughts become pure. When it is disturbed, stress arises. The pranayamas taught in Art of Living are ancient yet accessible. They bridge science and spirituality. Officials practicing them bring peace not just to themselves but to their teams. Calmness is contagious. One calm leader can stabilize an entire department. The ancient sages knew this truth. The Gurudev has made it practical again. Now, what is the role of knowledge talks and wisdom literature by His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji in shaping modern ethical governance? Those talks are not just discourses, they are manuals for living. Here's a commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and the Ashtavakra Gita directly apply to leadership and governance. He reminds us that dispassion or vairagya is not neglect but clarity in action. His wisdom guides officers to act without ego or fear of criticism. Ethics becomes effortless when consciousness arises. Karnataka's administrators can include short wisdom sessions in their leadership retreats, a few minutes that can transform perspectives. Now, the Upanishads say, Yatha Raja Tatha Praja, as is the ruler, so are the people. Gurudev's books and knowledge sheets revive that dharmic leadership model where values come before votes and consciousness before compliance. We encourage officers to study scriptures under modern teachers like him. Ethical governance doesn't need the new rules. It needs awakened minds. Through knowledge and practice, Karnataka can become a model state where policy flows from purity and administration mirrors awareness. Now, how can the Karnataka government integrate the art of living stress relief modules into its administrative training institutes? Now, the Karnataka can take a visionary step by introducing stress-free leadership programs at ATI Mysuru, KAS training centers, and police academies. The government executive program by Art of Living has already trained thousands of bureaucrats globally. It includes Sudarshan Kriya, time management, and conflict resolution sessions. Officers learn to respond rather than react. Such modules, when made part of the training calendar, will institutionalize well-being. Gurdev often says a happy mind is a creative mind. With creative administrators, Karnataka can achieve development that is sustainable, ethical, and humane. Now, the Vedic Dharma Sansthan can complement this initiative by providing cultural and spiritual enrichment sessions, morning sandhya, Gayatri Japa, and values-based ethics training. When both science of breath and dharma of mind work together, the officer becomes holistic. We can create administrative yagyas, not in ritual sense, but as collaborative programs of purification of intent. By aligning art of living scientific methods with Vedic philosophy, Karnataka can lead the nation in conscious governance. Now, what long term benefits can the Karnataka state administration expect from such a spiritual training? The transformation is multidimensional, reduced absenteeism, improved decision making, healthier interpersonal relations, and an inspired workforce. Officers begin to see their roles as service, not survival. Corruption declines naturally because contentment grows. The emotional resilience gained from meditation helps them face political pressure with calm. Over time, an entire culture of ethical leadership engages and merges. Gurudev has seen this happen in Argentina, Paraguay, and Peru. There is no reason why Karnataka cannot be India's pioneer. Now, the Vedas emphasize tapasya and seva as twin foundations of leadership. When officers undergo spiritual training, their tapasya, the disciplined effort increases, and their seva, the selfless service blossoms. Long term benefits include societal trust and a sense of sacredness and governance. Dharma then ceases to be an abstract ideal. It becomes daily practice. Karnataka can showcase how spiritual wisdom strengthens democracy and administrative integrity. Now, how can the art of living and Vedic system together create wellness infrastructure for government departments? We can establish wellness cells in every secretariat building, district office, and police headquarters. These centers can offer short meditation breaks, weekend courses, and counseling support. Just 30 minutes of Sudarshan Kriya and silence can transform a day of stress into serenity. Art of Living can train internal facilitators who in turn conduct regular well-being sessions. The objective is not escapism but energizing efficiency through inner balance. Now, alongside this, the Vedic Sansthan can conduct the monthly pujas and homas for collective purification of administrative energy. Even scientifically, such gatherings boost morale and emotional harmony. Departments can celebrate the Karma Yoga Divas, a day where officers introspect and offer their work as sacred service. By combining meditative practices and ritual harmony, we can make every office a temple of duty and devotion. Now, how does this vision align with Karnataka's identity as the home of the Art of Living International Center? It's both symbolic and practical. Karnataka has already gifted spiritual peace to the world through Art of Living Center in Bengaluru. Now it can model that same peace in its administration. When officials live the wisdom taught next door, it sends a powerful message. Spirituality is not retreat, it is a strength in service. A spiritually vibrant Karnataka will inspire other states to adopt holistic governance models rooted in human values and happiness. Now, the rishis envisioned Bharat as the Yoga Bhumi, the land where inner discipline and outer duty merge. Karnataka holds that legacy from ancient sages of Sringeri and Malkot to Gurudev's presence today. When governance reflects that sacred heritage, The state becomes a beacon of dharma-driven modernity. The art of living and the Vedic system can co-create frameworks of ethical governance that honor tradition yet serve the future. Now, can such spiritual initiatives help Karnataka tackle corruption and political polarization? There absolutely corruption arises from inner poverty and fear. Meditation fills the mind with contentment and courage. A contented person cannot be corrupt. A courageous one cannot be manipulated. Gurudev often tells leaders when you breathe, when your breath is steady, your mind cannot be shaken. Through programs from ministers, MLAs, and civil servants, be it central or state, we can bring emotional intelligence and compassion back into politics. The shift begins within. When minds calm, the systems heal. Now, the Mahabharata shows that even kings needed Krishna's wisdom to act righteously amidst conflicts. Similarly, today's officers need spiritual guidance to balance duty and morality. Dharma is not a sermon, it is awareness applied in governance. When administrators perform the Agni Karyams, meditate, and act with purity, corruption loses its roots. When Karnataka's governance shines with truth, compassion, and calmness, it fulfills the true Vedic dream. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, may all beings be happy, Jagadev.